Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Goalkeeping Alliance free educational session tonight. My name is Coach Eric, and I will be working with you today along with Coach Paul Blodgett. And what you see here in front of you are the 12 member clubs. At the end of this session or anytime, if anyone wants more information on a club setting or a club membership, by all means, please reach out to the United Goalkeeping Alliance. You could DM us at United GK Alliance or email us at info@unitedgkalliance.com. All right, let's get going here. Today we are in the presence of a great one, Mr. Paul Blodgett. He is a great friend of mine. Mr. Blodgett is the UGKA board member, or he is a UGKA board member. He is also the owner of Paul Blodgett Goalkeeper Training School in New Jersey. He is a part of New Jersey Youth Soccer. He's the ODP Technical Director for New Jersey. He's the ODP Goalkeeper Technical Director within New Jersey. And he's also in the Rutgers University Hall of Fame. Coach Paul, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Great to be here as always. Hello, everybody. And it's great to have you here. Looking forward to sharing some information with you all. And I hope you guys feel free about participating. And when I ask some questions, I always like to have these things be more of a conversation than me just going on and talking for the whole period. I like that because it helps stimulate thoughts in my own head as far as maybe some other things I didn't mention or other things I would like to say. So feel free to ask that question, take part, and that'd be very much appreciated.
All right, sir. Paul, let's get going here.
Okay.
So here's today's agenda, everybody. We're going to first speak to again, this all revolves around U12. So please keep that in mind as the basis of all conversations tonight. We're going to speak to why would a player want to become a goalkeeper. We'll then get into the U10 focus. We'll speak to the technical and tactical foundation that needs to be built at this age. And we'll speak specifically to the coach's role. The U12 focus will speak to technical growth from the U10 to the U12 age category. We'll speak to the tactical understanding and the knowledge of the game beginning to happen. And again, we'll speak to the coach's role, and then we'll end with parents. What are your roles? Because there is an important part that you play. You play a very important role.
I just got in.
Want to speak to that. All right. So Coach Blodgett, I'm going to start this with you, man. And you may want to turn this over to others. Why would anyone want to become a goalkeeper?
Yeah, that is the perpetual question, isn't it? I'm actually very interested to hear if we have any parents on this call, why their son or daughter wanted to become a goalkeeper. I'm always very interested to hear why. I know a lot of kids just join it because that's the only position they get to play. It seems a common theme, and I don't really care for it, to be honest with you, is that they want to become a goalkeeper because they're not good enough for foot skills and they don't get to play on the field with their team. So they become a goalkeeper because they want to be a part of the team. And they seem to get the goal and, do pretty well, having a certain feel for it, probably because they're athletic. And pretty fearless at that age when you're like 8, 9 years old. But I'm not a big fan of the fact that they become a goalkeeper because they cannot play in the field. That's very counterproductive, to be honest with you. Kids need to be a good field player. Today, I mean, if you know anything about the game today, you have to be a good field player. You got to be able to distribute the ball. You got to be able to play with your feet. And you got to be confident in doing so. You even see at the highest levels mistakes goalkeepers make by not being aware of people around them when they have the ball at their feet. And that just comes from the lack of experience over many, many years. So as a parent out there, it has a son or daughter who started out as a goalkeeper, and you wanted to let me know why right now, I would appreciate that. Do we have anybody in that situation? Don't be afraid. My son is a strong field player, but gravitated to. My son is a strong field player, but gravitated toward GK because he is fearless, was very good at GK from an early age. There you go. Okay. And from Hillsborough. Huh. Awesome. Welcome, Amanda. That's exactly what I was just talking about. The kids don't have good field skills, but they seem to have an aptitude to get in the goal, and therefore they gravitate that way. You know, if that's the reason why, and they really like it because of that, okay. But as you'll see when we get into talking about the different parameters of different age groups, what you need to do as a goalkeeper and what you should be learning, you have to play with your feet. I mean, that's the name of the game today. And a good friend of mine, Ryan Hayward, I'm trying to get back out of the screen, Eric, back onto the. Oh,
you go right ahead, man.
Yeah, okay, because I can't see the screen. But a good friend of mine said the greatest compliment he had, his name is Ryan Hayward. He played at the college in New Jersey. He was a very good keeper there. We worked together for years, and then he was a goalkeeper coach at Princeton. He said the greatest compliment he got as a goalkeeper was that he was a good player, good soccer player. They didn't say that he was a good goalkeeper. They said he was a good soccer player. And I was taken by that. And I always say that to my kids now, is that it's best somebody says you're a great goalkeeper, but if they can tell you're a great soccer player, then you've really accomplished something that is very necessary, to be honest with you. You need to be able to play with your feet. You got to run the show. You got to distribute the ball. You have to keep the offense alive. So just because you want to be a goalkeeper because you can't play in the field, okay for a start. But guess what? You got to work extra hard on your foot skills. And because that's the only way you're really going to get to be able to play continuously at a higher level. There's another one. Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to read the comment as well. I think you were just about to do the same.
Okay. Yeah. From Steve in Chicago. Hi, Steve. When my daughter was going to join her first club team a few years ago, we started working on GK training so she could find a way to contribute. Most of the other girls didn't seem to want to play. That said, she would always play half and goal, or now that she's a full-time keeper on the A team, she plays full-time field on the B team to work on her foot skills. Bravo. That's fantastic.
I agree.
Yeah, the fact, and I think the kids are, somebody like this, this young person recognized the fact how important it is to be able to play with the feet as you learn the position and grow in the position. And the fact that she wanted to play on the field, it's good. And now she's a full-time keeper. That's really good. And so she's getting the best of both worlds. You have a lot of people who don't even start playing in the goal until they're in their teens. So you can imagine how far behind they might be in the goalkeeper position, but they may have played the field for for the first 6 years of their career and all of a sudden gravitated to the position. So their foot skills are already intact. It's a little more difficult when a kid just jumps in goal and doesn't do anything with the field players. As they get older, they're going to be kind of like blocked out of the position after a while, because if you can't play with your feet today, and this is something that everybody should understand, if you can't play with your feet, you're not going to be able to play eventually. And maybe when you're younger, that's fine. That's okay. But as you get older and you make this position the position you want to play, you have to be a complete player. And that's no bones about that. That's just part of the deal now. So let's see one more here. Our team had girls that had great foot skills and excelled as goalie. However, their parents didn't want their child playing. Didn't want their child playing goalie. Do we have any recommendations? This is a very, very good statement right here, because and this comes up quite often. I think the fear comes in the kids getting hurt. It's amazing when I'm talking to parents of the kids who are young and they're a goalkeeper, they say that sometimes they can't watch the game. They're afraid of collisions. They're afraid of what might happen to the kid, because they're pretty much exposed back there to injury if they are not trained properly, number one, if you don't really know what you're doing. Any recommendations? Well, to me, what it comes down to eventually, quite honest with you, what does the kid want to do? You know, I mean, if the parents are going to be so strong-headed about the fact that my son or daughter is not going to be a goalkeeper because I'm afraid of them getting hurt, well, I think the parent is lacking education, to be honest with you. One of the things I've always tried to do in my goalkeeper school, and ever since I started training, is I always engage conversation with the parents. If they came to my sessions, I wouldn't mind them watching. They can't contribute, but I said, you can watch as much as you want. And then afterwards, if you want to ask me questions, you go right ahead, because I wanted the parents to understand what the position was about. And if I saw a kid that had aptitude in the position and the parents were talking about them playing, that I had to basically educate the parent on the values of the position, what the position can do to help a young person develop into a well-rounded human being. And I believe in that sincerely. And as long as you get proper training on how to do certain techniques and to avoid certain situations where you could get hurt, there's really nothing wrong with being a goalkeeper. It all comes down to how the kid is mentored, how the kid is taught, if the kid understands the dangers that can happen, and you learn the proper technique accordingly so that you don't put yourself in those kinds of dangers. So I can get it maybe when some kids are younger. They're running around like crazy, just go out and fly around, have fun, and because they're being kids, they might not think about what could happen to them in a collision situation. They just go for the ball because they want to get the ball, and they don't mind going after it. But once again, it comes down to a good teacher of the position, somebody who will engage the parents in the reasons of why things are happening in goal and how you train. But this does bring up a point when we get to the coaches' roles here in the U10 and the U12s, is that how important it is to get a good trainer, a good coach, not just a trainer. I got to stop using that word. You need a good coach. And I'll go into the difference between those in a little bit. But if you find a good coach who cares about their son or daughter, is teaching them the right way, teaches them about injury prevention, then I think it's fine. And especially if the kid wants to play. To me, it comes down to it. And I know the parents get concerned and all, but to me, it's all about what the kid wants to do, really. I mean, if they want to do something, then you should let them do it, as long as you get the proper guidance and direction and to know exactly what to do in all different situations. So that's all right. Well, that's a good start with the questions. I like that because it's a big question. It's a big question. And I never played until I was 25. So, but I got to tell you, any game when I was a kid where a body had to get in front of something to keep something from going in it, that was me. So I had the mentality. I just never had the training to be a goalkeeper until I was 25 when I started playing, and I started to learn the position a little bit. But I just had the mentality. So some kids have it. And if they have it, God bless them, because half of the battle is just not being afraid of throwing your body in front of a projectile and doing what you can to keep the ball out of the net. So, well, let's get right into this a little bit about the U10, unless somebody has a question.
Paul, you keep going, man. Right now on the screen, can you see the screen? Or are you good?
Yeah, I can see the screen. I got it back somehow.
Why don't you tell them about the number one rule, Paul?
Yeah, the number one rule is have fun, man. And that is exactly it. If you don't have fun at that age doing something, don't do it. And this is and I love this rule, and I love to be the first thing for everybody, like under U10, even under U12, you still got to be having fun. But if you're going out there as a goalkeeper at age 8, 7, 8, 9, trying to learn a position, and you're not having fun, wow, it's not going to be an enjoyable experience at all. So let the kids have fun. And you have to base your whole training session around the kids having fun. Yes, you have to teach basic stuff, but you can always incorporate it into fun little games. So they're just running around and doing what they want to do with the ball and rolling around and jumping and flying and diving. That's what the kids love to do. But you still have to get the technical basics going on as you do that. But if you have a kid that really enjoys the position and you have a coach who doesn't know how to really train the young age groups, it could wreck the fun, and that could wreck the experience for the kid. And to me, I never like to have a kid turn away from the position because it's the best position in the game, bar none. You know, I always tell kids, I said, okay, so now you decided to be a goalkeeper. I said, well, you chose the most difficult position in the game, bar none. I said, but it's the best position in the best game in the world. And when you tell the kids that, I always see a little light go off in their eyes. It's like, oh, cool. You know, I mean, this is the best position, and you know, I'm glad I chose it. Now you just got to give them the best of training you can give them. So the focus is to have fun, but you got to understand with young kids what they can and cannot do. Their hand-eye coordination for like a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid is just not there. I mean, there's going to be rare occasions, but kids are having trouble catching the ball. All right, they'll see the ball come to them, but they're not trained to have their eyes engaged enough to look into the ball after it's in their hands. They see it coming at them. It might hit their hands, but their hand-eye is not there. The reaction times might not be there. The speed of the ball coming at them is something that is always of concern, in my opinion, because it's the way the kids put their hands up. They kind of go flat-handed. And what that does, it bends their wrist back, and it causes the number one injury for kids is a buckle fracture, because the growth plate is in your wrist. And if your hand is backwards and you go flat-handed, and the ball hits that, so your wrist is always already compromised by being flat. And then a ball hits it with some pace, then you get the crack, very common injury in the cast for 6 weeks, boom. And it's amazing how many kids get it. So that's one of the things you got to kind of be concerned about. All training for goalkeepers under 10 should be on low balls. Okay. Nobody should be whipping balls in a kid's face, and because they don't know how to catch it, and they're afraid of it because they have this thing coming at you with speed, and all they want to do is put their hands up, block it. So most of your technical training should be on low balls. You know, the scoop catch, front smothers. You could do some easy collapsing left to right, not diving, but collapsing. Everybody says diving, they think that, you know, they're flying around. Well, kids that age are going to fly around their own, but they're not going to know how to do it with the ball coming at them to keep from getting hurt. So I always try to train the kids at the younger ages to just defend a small goal. You don't really play with a goal when you're 7, 8, or 9 anyway. At least you shouldn't, because it's too intimidating to be behind them. But if you put a couple cones down 2 yards wide and say, okay, we're just going to work on you keeping the ball out of that 2-yard goal. And then that's your whole basis of your your development of your young goalkeepers. Teach them their footwork, how to catch low balls, and just do that over 2 yards, and that's it. Don't make them go flying around because they don't understand how to land, and they won't have success. So the whole idea at this age group is to do very simple, basic catching. Do it repetitively in different ways, in different types of activities. Stressing footwork and getting the body behind the ball, and foot skills. And what I mean by foot skills are dribbling, passing, juggling. You can do all that, and you can incorporate that into practices. I know one of the people on the call right here is Coach Mike Walsh out of Scotch Plains. He and I have been working together with the Scotch Plains Family Soccer Club for over 20 years. And it's been an extremely well-received program. Matter of fact, Scotch Plains has had a tradition of goalkeeping at all levels, club, high school, definitely in college, and professional. And a lot of it started with our training with these kids when they were 8 years old, 9 years old, just trying out for the position. One of the things Scotch Plains did, and this is something those of you who are listening might want to try in your clubs. You may do it already, I don't know. But every Saturday, they would require 3 players from each team to go to goalkeeper training on Saturday morning to get introduced to the position. And I mean, we would have huge numbers when we started out. And we would break it down, have the kids do all the basic stuff, make games out of it, let them have a lot of fun. Next week, you have a whole new group of kids coming in, or the ones that want to stay and learn more. And all of a sudden you start seeing each week Okay, you start seeing some of these kids being repetitive because they took to the position and they liked it. They liked the training and they liked how we were teaching it. And as a result, over the years, they became very good goalkeepers, and some of them became exceptional goalkeepers. So I think that's a very good way to introduce the position to a lot of club teams. Instead of just saying who wants to become a goalkeeper, maybe one kid might put their hand up, or you might have trouble getting somebody in there to actually step in and take the move of trying to learn the position. Offer it to everybody. But just mix it up every week. Okay, U2 from this team are going to go, U3 from this team are going to go, and just go and learn the position. And then you just teach the basics, the footwork, the foot skills, the communication, how to get the body behind the ball, and how to have fun doing it. And it worked extremely well. The types of things, now as you get up into 10, okay, and 10 years old and 10 to 12, you still got to keep it fun. Okay, you still got to keep it fun, but you have to start doing a little more concentration on your technical stuff. One of the biggest things that you need to work on and technical and foundation for the U10s is their set position. All right, this is one of the biggest problems that I see, is that I love getting together with a group of kids the first time. If we had 10 kids and I ask, okay, everybody show us your set position. And generally you might have 10 different set positions. That just says nobody really knows what to do. Or they might have had 10 different coaches and each coach shows them a different set position. Well, that's a problem because most of the set positions are incorrect. Their stance is too wide. They're not bending over in athletic form. Their hands are all over the darn place. So getting the set position down is very, very important. And then getting into low ball handling is also very, very important. And the whole premise there is to use your hands, not your feet, on all your low ball catches. One of the problems I have today with goalkeeping in general is the block save and the kick saves and all that. Now, there's definitely times when the kick save or block save are very, very effective. But don't go teaching a kid 8, 9, 10 years old how to do that, because the first thing they should learn to do is how to handle the ball with their hands. I know a lot. I read somewhere one time over in England, they take X-rays of kids' hands, and if they're at 6 years old, if they doesn't look like because of their however they determine it that they're going to be over 6'3", 6'4" when they grow up, they don't even tell them to be a goalkeeper. He says you're going to be a field player. And the first thing they start teaching them is the block. They don't even teach them to catch. They just teach them to block. Just get down and throw your body in front of the ball. Now, one thing everybody's got, I think, understands is our society is a hand-eye coordinated society. A lot of our games are hand-eye. So we are good at catching. And we have a lot of phenomenal athletes in this country. So for us to teach anything but handling, it's doing a disservice to the kids at the youngest ages. Let them move their feet, let them get the body behind the ball, but teach them how to do all low ball handled catches properly. And then you just, as you get older, you repeat those same low catches, but now they become a little more difficult because of maybe the type of ball you're giving them, different scenarios that you can use low balls coming at kids. So now they understand how to actually catch with low balls. So keep it simple. With all development and training of young kids, it's got to be kept simple. Foot skills, footwork, that's different. Footwork is all your movement of your feet. Shuffle step, crossover steps, backward run, forward run, all those kinds of stuff. The footwork got to be practiced continuously. Because what you're going to find with some kids is that they don't have good footwork. They're just going to throw their body around and they will not be coordinated in doing so. And they're just going to block a ball. They're not going to be able to catch it. Footwork is one of the cornerstones for developing your hands, because you get your body behind the ball, then you start teaching how to use the hands to catch it properly. One of my favorite catches to teach all young kids is the front smother. And that's where they call it a scoop catch or a basket catch. You tuck it in the ball in your belly, and then you go down onto your forearms, so you're coming down on the front part of your body. I always tell the kids this is your go-to save on all low balls coming at you. And once they learn the front smother, then they're learning how to cut the ball in, protect it, but also how to go down to the ground. And that leads into going into diving and everything else as you go forward. So the front small is a very, very valuable, to me, a technique for handling for these kids. High balls, forget about it. Okay. I mean, first of all, if you're having kids play in goals at 7, 8, 9 years old, you're not doing any service to the kids at all. You put a kid in the goal, and all of a sudden you got this big thing behind you. Even though some of the goals are smaller for the younger kids, that's still big behind a little kid. Now that becomes a part of their mentality. They got this big thing behind them, but they have to try and collect and save the ball and keep it from going in there, and that gets intimidating. And then as the ball keeps going over their head and into the goal, all of a sudden they're giving up 6, 7 goals a game because the balls are up in the upper 90 and the kids can't jump that high. They're not that tall. So I never teach high balls at all at the young stages. I don't like to because I don't think it's they can't do it. They can't catch it. That's the problem. So it wrecks their mentality of the game. It wrecks their confidence. So keep everything from the waist and down, and let them master that, and then you could develop from there. Coach's role for the youngest kids, have to make it fun. You got to have personality. You got to be able to have patience, and you got to be able to think on your feet. I know how many times it's funny because when I first started goalkeeper training, before I would actually consider myself a goalkeeper coach, I know as a goalkeeper trainer to start. My biggest fear was not being able to have drills, activities. I always went and loaded up with activities, and I just did the activity. Well, that's not coaching at all. That's just training. And then after a while, I started realizing, well, this works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. So then I had to start adjusting my approach to my coaching to make sure that it was appropriate for the age group. And it was challenging, but not over challenging. And all of a sudden, you go from becoming a trainer to a teacher of the position. And as a parent, or as if you're a young coach, this is what you got to start doing. You got to start learning to not to be a trainer. You got to learn to be a teacher. You got to learn to be a mentor. Because being a mentor in this position is what will give you the lasting relationships that you seek in all type of athletic endeavors. Being a coach, I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've had some kids I started training when they're 8 years old, coached them all the way through their college career. So what is that? I mean, that's, 12, 13 years sometimes, and then go on after that. So here I am working with these kids for all this time, and we're both very important parts of each other's lives. The rewards I've had personally have been fantastic. It's been my career path has just been, I just can't tell you how rewarding it has been. But I also go approach every level that I teach as just that, as a teacher. I want these kids to do the best they can. So you, as a parent, or if you're a new coach, you got to make sure that you can understand what to do at certain age groups, how to do it, and be ready to think on your feet. If you make a mistake, who cares? I mean, and this is one of the things you got to tell your keepers when you work with them anyway, especially at that age. They're so afraid to make a mistake. But you got to flip that. Making a mistake is one of the most valuable teaching tools you can have in this position. You cannot become a better goalkeeper if you don't make mistakes. So if you're a kid that's comfortable all the time, or if you see your child is just comfortable doing certain things but doesn't get out of it, doesn't push the envelope at all, doesn't get out of the comfort zone at all, they're never going to reach your potential. You got to go. You got to try new things. You got to fall flat on your face. You got to let that ball go between your legs, because it happens to every single one of us. Every goalkeeper that's ever played the game has had such embarrassing moments that they probably never want to get back in the goal again. But one of the things, like we talked about with the UGKA, is the goalkeeper union, is that every person who's ever played this position has made a mistake, and at the completely the wrong time. So if you do happen to make a mistake that the ball goes between your legs, and say, well, guess what? Pick the ball up out of the net, realize there's millions of goalkeepers around the world that had done exactly the same thing. So you're not alone. And these are types of things as a coach, as a mentor, you have to realize. You got to figure out, All right, you got to see when a kid's head drops down, right? What do you do to pick it up? What can you do? And as a parent, when you're looking to your son or daughter wants to play the position, you got to seek out a good human being, somebody that cares, but somebody's also going to look after how to develop the kids psychologically, how to build their spirit, not destroy it. One of the worst things I see, and I've seen it pretty much all throughout my career. I was working at camp one time, and we had this 12-year-old kid came in, and his mom came up to me and said, "Listen, my son was a very good recreational goalkeeper. We thought we'd try and put him on a travel team." And his first game of the travel team, he went to gave up like 4 goals in the first half. The coach at halftime completely embarrassed the kid, blamed every goal on him. A 12-year-old kid at halftime, to a point where the kid was he didn't want to play anymore. So I told her, I said, "Listen, just give us a chance to come and just enjoy. You know, if he doesn't want to stay after the first day, okay. If he wants to stay on, fantastic. We just want to give him a shot and see if we can't do something with him." Well, at the end of the week, the parent came back up to us and said how much the kid really enjoyed it. And he said they never even yelled at us. They said they didn't yell at us even when we did something wrong. So these are types of things that everybody has to be sensitive about at the youngest age groups, and even at the older age groups. But still, if you don't build a good, solid base of support and positive environment in your coaching and your teaching environment at these ages, you're going to lose kids. And that, to me, is a sin, is trying to lose a kid just because the coach doesn't know how to mentor them along the way. Tactical stuff, okay? In the youngest ages, no. I mean, you learn basic offensive, basic defense. But when you get to like the U10 and now you get up to U12, let's say one of the big things that start happens at U12 is a lot of 1v1 stuff. Okay, a lot of 1v1 stuff. So this is where you got to start teaching how to defend and how to handle 1v1 situations, decision making. Okay, and try to learn why you're having so many 1v1 situations occurring. Usually it's because of through balls, breakdowns into defense. And this is where team coaches can help the position as well. If you're having a goalkeeper seeing 5, 6, 7, 8 1v1 situations a game, well, there's a problem in your defensive organization. So work on it in training so that everybody knows how to do it. And this is another problem that we have where goalkeepers aren't incorporated into the team training. Today, they have to be. The goalkeepers have to know the game. They have to understand the game. They have to make decisions to control things before they result in the dangerous situations like a shot on goal. So one thing that young people have to understand as a goalkeeper is the pathway of getting to become a goalkeeper. It's not just getting in there and kicking the ball around, flying around and keeping the ball in the back of the net. Yes, that's probably our number one job, not getting a goal, giving up a goal. But if you can control the situations going on around you, if you can organize the people in front of you, if you can develop your communication skills, which is a massive part of our job, then you're gonna have more success. And this is one of the biggest areas I see in the youth training is the lack of communication. They're fearful.
Paul, can I ask a question about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, at these ages, like we say, I hear they need to communicate more. They need to begin to communicate. What exactly, like what are some exact commands, Paul, that you would teach a coach or a parent to help with their kids at these two age groups? And my other question is, what types of games, when you say have fun in a training session, what type of games or ideas could you give for some of these coaches to incorporate fun or incorporate games into their training sessions?
Okay, great questions. The first one, the communication aspect, keep it simple. One of my classic phrases, and I'm kind of known for it over here in Jersey, is how you ask for the ball to play to your feet And how do you communicate to somebody when you distribute the ball out to them? So if you're asking for the ball to your feet, we train the kids to say yes, and maybe say yes, right foot, or point to the right foot, but try to incorporate the player's name into it. So if I said, yes, Eric, right foot, then Eric knows that's exactly where I want to have the ball. But we train it to have that person say yes to the keeper on the way back. So if I said, yes, Eric, he would say, yes, Blodgett. So what is happening is a very simple way of starting communication between two people. And you insist upon that simple communication and asking for the ball to your feet. And then after every save, when you distribute it, you say yes when you distribute the ball out to the person. And that is a very simple way to get the communication started. What if you don't teach the certain specifics? One of the big problems you do see is goalkeepers ask for the ball by saying here. Now, if you ever go into a youth game, there's so many people yelling here out in the center of the field that, first of all, it sounds like a beehive buzzing out there. And I never know who wants the ball because everybody's saying here. So you cannot allow that latitude with being a goalkeeper. So that's why I came up with the phrase, yes to the person's name, pointing to where you want it, and doing it every single time. So that separates us. So that every time you say, I say, yes, Eric knows that I'm the goalkeeper and I'm asking for the ball, or I'm going, I have the ball in my hand, I want to distribute. And I say, yes, Eric, I distribute to him. That's an easy way to get things started. Okay. Because the biggest problem of communication is lack of confidence in saying something to somebody. And like I work with the ODP program. When the goalkeepers are in there and we're scrimmaging, they don't even know the goalkeeper's name. And the goalkeeper doesn't even know their back's name. So what I always say is, if you're going to be in goal, introduce yourself to the two backs you have in front of you, the three backs they have in front of you, just so everybody knows each other's name. Now let's make a little family right now, and let's all talk together. And then that's the way you start building it. So it's got to be simple. It's got to be clear, but it's got to be different. And the kids like it that it's different as well. Getting to Eric's other questions, games. I mean, handballs is a great one. We do about tag. We play a goalkeeper tag, which is fun, and have two goalkeepers who are it. You know, I don't care how many kids you have, put inside a grid, and then the only way that it's like handball. You can't run with the ball, but you can throw it to somebody, they can catch it, and that's how you have to tag somebody. You got to tag them with the ball, and then when you tag somebody else, then they join in, and all of a sudden you have like 12 kids trying to catch and tag that last kid. It's a lot of fun. Keep away games. You can have partners inside a grid, or just open space. The heck with a grid, just open space, and everybody run around, dribble the ball like a basketball or something like that. And then they call out your partner's name, and then they got to roll the ball to them, and they got to make a save, and just have them run around without hitting each other. Or have them do the same thing, but now if you try to use your ball and knock their ball out of the way and get them knocked out of the center. You can do any type of game as far as just kicking the ball around, rolling it around. Just think of any child game. Be honest with you, you can incorporate any kid game and just throw a ball in there, and it doesn't have to be perfect technique. It's just the kids are running. The kids are going after a ball, get the communication aspect in there. And if you can just do that, then by the time they're 10 years old, they're already communicating, they're already moving, they're already being able to figure out how to get to the ball, and they're falling down on their own. So there's a ton of things. I mean, you can go online, you can go out to YouTube and see all sorts of activities. But the whole idea is, once again, it's making it fun. Another great game is like goalie war for kids. I mean, the way I did it with the youngest kids, since I don't want them playing with a goal, I would just have a 5-yard wide field, maybe 10 yards long, and the goalkeeper gets to go up to the half of the field if they want to, and they throw it or roll it, and just try to throw it past the line, and to see if the other goalkeeper can stop it. So, and then you can do it with pug goals. It's goalkeepers is a great, fun, competitive game that the kids absolutely love to play. And you can make these adjustments to any kid, any age group, to make it more challenging, less challenging, however you want to do it. So be creative. I mean, think of games you played when you were a kid that you enjoyed, and just put a ball in there and let the kids figure it out. It's the more games you can play with these kids, the more you get them in a game environment and play, the more fun they're going to have, and then the more they start figuring games out.
Like, Paul, can I add to that?
Sure.
I love what, like, one thing you said was keep it simple regarding communication. I'd even say the same thing for games. Like, keep it simple with these kids. Like, get them having fun, get them moving around, and coach them in those moments too.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be messing up. They're gonna let goals through their legs, through their hands. They're gonna, and 2 points. One, get them to be a goldfish, get them to forget about it immediately and move on, and whatever it is. And that's a coach's role. The coaches have to be able to get those kids past that mistake quickly and move on to the next play. And the other thing was, the more these kids enjoy and start to play, the more they're going to want to come back and learn and take in your coaching. So that the emphasis on the techniques, up front in the training session is going to be smaller time devoted to that, and probably more towards games and fun and getting the kids to enjoy and learn in those fun moments. But don't overcomplicate the games. And I don't think too hard. Like, whatever you can do to keep the ball in their hands, making them communicate with names and distribution with rolling or kicking at that age is plenty.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point. And when it pick the go the mention one or two things about the coach's role in any of these age groups. Is like Eric said, make it fun.
Yeah.
Make it simple. And that's a challenge. I mean, I can remember the first couple of times even when I started to get up in front of people and talking, I had like a whole page of things I wanted to say. Well, I spoke so fast, I got through everything in 10 minutes. And now I had another 25 minutes to try and figure out what to say. Then I started realizing that I was saying things so fast, I don't think they probably listened or learned anything. So that's the same idea with coaching. If you're a coach, it's important to learn to have quality over quantity. Okay, that's a big phrase we always use: quality over quantity. What does that mean? That means is, let's say we're just doing work on a basic front smother catch I mentioned earlier. Some coaches will just take a ball 6 yards away and just start ripping at the kids, seeing how many times they can make the front smother save in 10 seconds. Well, that's not really teaching anything. The only thing it's doing is working on reaction time and maybe some fitness. But is that teaching the kid how to handle the ball? No. So if they do only 2 quality catches in 10 seconds, then good. You don't want to have 2 quality catches and then 10 bad catches because they're not learning the technique. So you do have to actually, as a coach, you do have to get in instruction to a point where they're understanding the simple catches, how to do them correctly. And one of the most successful things I've had in my teaching career is having the kids master the finished catch. So let's say for a scoop, I'm sure you all know what a scoop is. You bend down at the waist, and you scoop the ball into your chest. Well, there's a certain technique to do that to make it perfect. So you show them, let them play it, let them make the mistakes, but keep correcting it. But if they start feeling how the finish is supposed to be correctly, then eventually that's all they go. They go towards the finish. And once you master the finish, then you master the technique. It's something I learned over the years. It's very, very effective. All games now, once you get up to the U12 age, simple, small-sided, no big goals. You start learning attacking and defending. And here's something as a parent, before we get into the role of parent, which is kind of how I want to finish off here, but have the kids watch the game. I am shocked I sometimes go to an ODP and I say, okay, the U.S. women's team's playing tonight or the U.S. men's team playing. How many people are watching the game? Oh, we had a game. Our national team has a game tonight. They had no idea. And that bothers me because I was a basketball player and I did a lot of my training on my own, but I would just watch basketball players and copy them. watch the game, see what they're doing. That's how I learned it. Kids today don't seem to want to watch the game but now you got some kids are very into it, which is great. They come in all geared up and everything else with their favorite teams and they know all the players. That's fantastic. But as a parent, I think it's very important, especially in this position, that you take them to college games in the area. I mean, there's colleges everywhere. The quality is very high nowadays. If you have a pro team near you, go to the pro game or watch just 45 minutes or half of a game on the weekend and just see what the goalkeeper does, what the game is all about, so that the kids know what they're doing. And here's the other thing that's got to change, and this is one thing UGKA is kind of spearheading, which I love, is putting kind of the goalkeeper where they're supposed to be at the forefront. We're the number one, and we need to have specific training. Don't tell us to go off to the side and volley the ball at each other while the coach works with the team on the field on other things. Figure out how to incorporate the goalkeeper into it. I mean, that's extremely important. To alienate the kids right away is part of the problem of our development because it's a tough position. It's a very lonely position. It's been you back there and you're getting lit up like crazy. It could be devastating for a kid. So you need to incorporate them into the team environment as much as you possibly can. I do want to hit on a couple of things with parents.
Yep.
Which
Before
I
we
think
get to, I'm going to go to the next slide on parents.
Oh,
One
okay.
thing real quickly here, I just want to emphasize something on communication. One thing that parents ask me a lot is like about the specific commands. First thing, Blodgett mentioned this, always use a name first. You're never going to get someone to listen to you if you did. It's like saying this to a group of kids. Mark that person or go pick up that bag, pick up that trash. Guess who's doing that? No one. Right? But if you literally say, Blodgett, pick up that trash. Blodgett, mark back door. It's a different message. It's direct. It's right to somebody. And the other piece was I mentioned backdoor marks, scanning as a goalkeeper and not continuously having your eyesight focused on the ball and communicating what you see. I think is a lesson or something that a goalkeeper is responsible for and can learn at this age, because everyone gets ball centric. And then when the ball's on a side, where do typically these goals get scored? Back post. And because they're wide open. So if there's one thing to help with problem solving and with communication, I would say start with that backdoor mark and working with names first.
Yeah, two exceptional points. Once you say, like when Eric said Blodgett, mark number 10 or whatever, what you had just done is you're holding me accountable now. If I mess up, that my person I was supposed to, you just asked me to mark and they beat me, then I know that I'm the reason why the breakdown happened. And that helps the goalkeeper because now the goalkeeper realizes, well, it wasn't my fault. And the other part that Eric said was so spot on is, I call it stealing looks. You have to know when to look and turn your head, put your head on a swivel, when to take your looks. You really can't do it if the person has a ball on their foot in front of you and they're going to shoot. But when that ball is moving, when that ball is passed from a 10 or 20 yard pass, scan the field, see what's going on. If a player stops the ball and looks up, like an attacking player against you, sticks their head up to see who they're going to serve the ball to, scan the field. There's times in the game when you don't have to be 100% focused on the ball. You can turn your head away for a quick second or two to see what's going on, because that is a massive problem. And I'm glad Eric brought it up.
All right, Paul, we got about 10 minutes left and we're on the role of the parent.
Okay, a couple quick things, because if there's any questions, I'd love to hear them.
Feel free to type questions in while Paul's talking about the parent, if anyone has any, by the way.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. Here's a big one. It happened to me the other night. 9-year-old kid, very good sized kid, very good with his feet, decent goalkeeper for 9, is into it. But every time he dropped the ball, he would look up into the balcony and find his dad. Every single time. And that bothered me. And I said, what are you doing? And he didn't really realize he was doing it. So every time he did it, I made him stop. I said, your dad is not going to help you right now. I'm here to try to teach you. Look at me. If you make a mistake, don't look at him, look at me, and let's figure it out. And it started working, but I felt badly for the kid. I really did, because every time, and even when he did something well, he's looking so much for approval that becomes his purpose for doing everything, instead of doing it for more intrinsic value, as I did something myself. So as a parent, please be careful of that. Don't my helicopter parent's a classic phrase, I guess. Stay away. If you're giving Eric and myself an hour and a half to work with your kid, you go back and watch, you don't say a word. I've actually had to kick parents out of my sessions sometimes because they were coaching as I was coaching. I said, I don't come into your office and tell you what to do while you're running the show. So don't do it where I am at. And this is extremely important. And that's one of the big ones I wanted to say. And another one I think is extremely important for parents to do: learn the position. Learn the position. Watch it yourselves. Ask questions. One of the loneliest things for a kid is driving home after a bad game, sit in the car, you got an hour ride, and nobody's talking. Because you, as a parent, probably don't know what to say. The kid is so embarrassed, doesn't want to say anything. Well, you got to break that barrier down. You got to have the communication. You can't just say, hey, listen, you tried your best and stuff like that. Well, that's not going to do a 12-year-old kid any good. In his head, he's making mistakes left and right. Well, like we said, it's okay to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. That's one of the big support phrases. You can work with your child right away. And see if you can develop a relationship with a goalkeeper coach. Some people poo-poo it. I welcome it. Some of my greatest relationships are with parents of kids that I trained. Because what happens is now it's an open dialogue. And I'm not afraid to say something about their kid in front of them, and they're not afraid to ask me something about their kid in front of me. So that relationship is extremely important. Now, it comes to a head coach. If it comes to a head coach, it's probably going to be a different situation. But your goalkeeper coach is the mentor. And make sure the coach is positive reinforcement. If there's a mistake, turning it into a learning experience. Okay. Let's see, I think someone just came up. Youth club head coach and goalkeeper coach. I will be retiring from the military within the next 2 years, and I am looking to make coaching a follow-on career. Getting my D license this winter. Any advice to take at a career level? Yeah, definitely. You're in the right step, making the right moves of going after certifications. Now, one thing that we're going to be doing, and I'm very proud of this, by the way, with the United Goalkeeper Alliance, is we're going to start a grassroots coaching program. And when you think about it, the players are grassroots at a young level. Well, if you're a fledgling coach, you're also, you're grassroots. And I'm to be honest with you, I was all about grassroots. Nobody taught me how to play. Nobody taught me how to coach. I just learned it. And I made mistakes, tons of them. But now I've turned it into a living and being able to help people. So yes, if you go to the conventions, I would go to any courses you can. I would go to sessions to watch how the coaches run things. But don't allow that to be like the only way to do things. Go learn from sessions, but then take what you learn and create your own way of doing it. That is a key. Okay. Let your personality come out. So those are types of things that the parents can do. Care about your kid, support them, but learn what you can do to help them when they crash. Because if you can't do that, I know as a parent, I'm sure if you feel like you can't help your kid in a tough situation, it's got to be tough on the parent. It has to be. But if you turn it into a dialogue, and just think of all the tremendous conversations that you're going to have as your son or daughter trying to learn a very difficult position in a very tough game. As long as you just talk them out, just keep talking them out. I think it's very valuable. The tips.
Add 2 points, if I could, to what you just said.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to read the next thing here.
One is regarding parents' positive reinforcement. And it's going to tie into the 2 points kind of above it. Mistakes are part of the learning process, especially at this young age. Your kid's going to mess up probably more than succeed. I'm just gonna throw it out there. That said, only the positives reinforce. Just continue to be positive, continue to cheer them on, and talk to coaches. And if you're a goalkeeper coach, take 3 minutes after each session when the kids are going back to their parents, bring the parents in and quickly introduce them to what you just did in that session to allow them, A, to learn the position, B, it gives them something to Paul's point about in the car ride home. They can now speak with a little bit of an intellect as to what they're talking about. Because most kids, and Paul mentioned the ride home with the parent doesn't know what to say, and typically it's difficult conversation, it's stressful. The number one reason why kids quit sports is because of the ride home. That really is saddening to me. And I think a lot of it has to do with sometimes living through your kids and all this other stuff. But at the same time, if we can understand what these kids are going through, and again, this is a very lonely position, it's also very heroic. So if we can get kids to enjoy it, enjoy failure and learning from it, I think as a coach, if you can communicate that to the kids and the parents, you're going to develop that trustworthy relationship, and you're going to have clients for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I just want to finish off before I know we probably got to get off here, but I just want to address the last chat.
Yep.
How to teach the kids. They're afraid to communicate. They're afraid to sound like a bossy person in front of their friends and everything else. What I try and do is try and teach kids the importance of communication and how to do it. For example, make sure you know everybody in front of you. Always use their name. Let's say a kid goes up and does a head ball. Joanne, that's fantastic. Love it when you do that. The kid goes in and does a sliding tackle. Oh, Joe, that was phenomenal, man. Keep that up, and just I really support the fact that somebody in front of you did something well that helped you out. And if they throw their body in and stop a shot, I tell them, go buy them, a lunch or something like that. To show them, in other words, let them know how much you appreciate what they're doing in front of you by just supporting them with good words. And nice header, great slide tackle, well done, good stuff. And I always had them say, we need to do this. It's not I need you to do this. We need to do this because we are a defensive family here. And then now, all of a sudden, when Joey makes a mistake and I go up to Joey and say, Joey, listen, man, I need, it's very important that we work together and you stay on that guy next time. And then that'll help us out. Stuff like that. So if they make a little support group out of the whole deal, for lack of a better word to use, then it's going to help. Yeah, Eric, you would say?
Yeah, look at that third. There's another comment in the chat. Well, if you look at that, I'm going to comment. Coaches, the best thing that someone ever did for me in front of the team was basically to say, what he says back there goes. The goalkeeper can see everything. Listen to him, trust him. He is the eyes and ears back there, and he can see better than you can the whole field. So he's giving you advice on how, as a result, for us to be a better defensive unit, not because he's bossing you around. And I think to Paul's point, at that younger age, kids can get self-conscious about telling a friend or telling maybe someone that they don't like to do something. And I think that can sometimes be stressful for kids. So coaches, the more you can introduce the reasons why a goalkeeper is going to be communicating and using names, and sometimes using tone, is very important to the stress of your team when communication has to take place.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. It's another thing I think would help. One thing I don't like is at halftime, when they're putting in the other goalkeeper, is that they'll have the first team goalkeeper or starting goalkeeper, put it that way, go out and warm them up for the second half, get them ready for the second half. Well, they're missing a very valuable lesson at halftime of what the coach is saying. I would, if they know going to have another kid go in the second half, have a team player warm them up on the side, but halftime, the goalkeepers have to be there in the conversation. One of the things I always did, halftime, first thing I ever did, I went right out on the field and I had a conversation with the goalkeeper walking back for the goal to the bench. I want to know what they saw, what they feel, what's going on, what's working, what's not working. And then I would relay some stuff to the head coach. The head coach wanted to do something about it. Okay. If he did, well, that's his prerogative. but at least the goalkeeper knew they had somebody to talk to. And I also always had the goalkeeper ask a question like, okay, Joey, what did you see? And then that gets them started. It's all about just getting them started. We keep it simple, but let them get started. Yeah.
Paul, any other comments in that chat function? Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. Real quickly, guys, we introduced this slide here to clubs, and it's really a self-analysis tool on where clubs stand from a goalkeeper training perspective, incorporating the differences in training at the high school level versus the grassroots level. You essentially just went from the number 4, non-age, it's all blended in together. You just went from that to separating them and having different ideologies or theories for the age groups. You just went up to a 6. Like if you look at how this is broken down, and our goal as the United Goalkeeping Alliance is to get you to green. And we believe it. We know we can do it with all clubs. It's just a matter of, working with us to, we're assisting you. We're a supplemental resource. That's all we are. But we do have 125 plus coaches, goalkeeper coaches involved. We have a ton of subject matter expertise. So if anyone's looking to incorporate this into a club environment, or if there are any coaches on here, I think there was someone earlier talking about potentially getting or becoming a goalkeeper coach full-time in the near future. Join the UGKA. Like I can't stress how important networking is and collaboration is, and just learning new things from other people. It goes such a long way. And this group is nothing but we believe we're better as a solidified unit than our individual silos, and we're all about sharing and helping people get to their next level.
Yeah, I can't I can't support that enough. One of the things that's going to help goalkeepers and parents and goalkeeper coaches immediately is all realize that you're all part of a very special group of people that all have all had the same breakdowns, gone through the same struggles in their careers as well. So it's all about being part of the union, the goalkeeper being united and helping each other out. That's what makes this such a special group of people.
Awesome. Guys, I know people have been typing in the questions. People are starting to say thank you in the chat function. Last chance for questions.
Hi, can I actually ask one from a parent perspective?
Please.
Of course, please.
On your last slide you showed was actually where my question is coming from. As a parent, I have 2 goalkeepers, a 2014 boy and a 2011 girl. She plays in the GA. How do you respectfully bring up when your club used to be in the yellow and are now in the red from a training perspective?
Oh man,
how quickly do you tell them to move clubs, Blodgett? What do you say to them?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And the thing, and that's actually a very good point. If your club in which you're involved is not helping your son or daughter as a goalkeeper, let's just say helping a goalkeeper position, right, regardless of whose son or daughter it is, if they're not helping the goalkeeper position and they don't care, then it's your son or daughter are not going to achieve the experience that they need to get at that particular level. Go somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with switching teams, even though the friends and all the other stuff. It's always what comes out best for the son or daughter. Are they having the experience you needed them to have? If they are, okay. If they're not, and something has changed because they don't care about the goalkeeper position anymore, well, as a goalkeeper coach, that would bother me. And it's don't be afraid to. Now, do you have a relationship with a goalkeeper coach by any chance? Can you talk to that person?
So a new director came in, and that is where this change has come from.
Okay.
I know, and I'm close with one of the goalkeeping coaches, but he was told that his services weren't needed anymore this year, which is part of the problem. Is
change is coming. Change is coming.
Yes.
Well, here, I'm sorry you have to have to experience that, but guess what? It happens. It's a lot of it's politics. It's a lot of the new boss in town.
Yeah.
They're going to bring your own staff. So guess what? If it doesn't fit your needs for what your son or daughter needs, well, there are plenty of teams out there, and sometimes change is good. If you get stuck in one thing, then you're only going to work that maybe just learn that one way of doing things. If it's it's like anything else in life. You're always going to come with a choice. There's always going to be something come along and said, okay, I'm either going to stay. Should I stay or should I go? It's going to make a decision. So there's nothing wrong with that, because whenever that comes, a decision has to be made, which means the person is going to grow. So don't be afraid of that. If it's not good, go somewhere else, do something differently. Unless there's changes. Yeah. Unless there's changes coming.
Erica, also, if like finding another club might be difficult based on location, or it's just not reasonable, my alternative solution would be find a supplemental resource, find a supplemental goalkeeper coach that you trust, who can help you learn. Because in going from that yellow down to a red, you're now going to be training with all different age groups. Your services are going to be all over the place. The dialogue in the group from just learning will be up and down. It'll be above a keeper's head one moment. It'll be way below them another moment. That's a tough situation to train in, and from a goalkeeper perspective, and it's very difficult from a coach's perspective, which makes me believe that I'm kind of shocked that the club is going in that direction.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Wow. Are you a member? If you don't mind me asking, are you a member of the United Goalkeeper Alliance?
Yes, my daughter's attended.
Okay.
She was going to go to camp this past summer, but she got injured a couple days before, so she had to back out.
Well, hopefully she can go this year. You see both of us there.
Yes,
Yeah.
Eric, you will see her on Thursday.
And Erica's daughter, Sam, is a past UGKA Goalkeeper of the Month winner. So,
fantastic. Well done. Awesome, guys.
Well, guys, lastly, here's some contact info. While I'm doing this, can you check the chat function, please?
Yes, I will.
Guys, if you have any questions, any concerns, anything at all, Coach Paul's information is here, from a phone, website, Instagram, email. United Goalkeeping Alliance information, that's monitored daily by myself. So if you want to reach me, that information's down the bottom. Anything to help you with from a club perspective, as Erica's mentioned, or any type of goalkeeper individual memberships you're interested, or coaching memberships, please reach out. Again, this is why we do what we do, is to make it easier for your goalkeepers to succeed. And that's what this whole alliance is all about. Coach Blodgett, parting words, sir?
Yeah, real quick. Karen, I think this is my friend Karen from Maine, I would hope. What age should kids learn to punt in games? It doesn't seem effective at young ages. I agree. We don't, matter of fact, in ODP, we don't allow them to punt at all during training sessions or scrimmages in the games, and it has to change up, but we want them to learn to build out of the back. So it's good to teach them to me, it's good to teach them how to at least volley balls back and forth to each other, because it leads them into punting. It also helps in services and training sessions. But a lot of it has to do too with what the coach wants. If he wants to build out of the back nowadays, which seems very in vogue, or if they want to get farther up. But I would teach them learning how to at least punt the ball back and forth, volley the ball back and forth as young as you possibly can. Okay.
Final parting words from you, sir.
Hey, no, I appreciate this opportunity. It's and I appreciate everybody that came on. Nice to see some familiar faces. I see some familiar names here. But anytime you get a chance to get in front of people, talk goalkeeper, man, I'm in. And that's one of the things I love about the UGKA. And I appreciate Eric giving me the opportunity to do so. Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if we could, I want to thank Paul Blodgett for your time tonight. I want to thank all the goalkeepers, parents, and coaches that are here. You are appreciated. And if there's ever anything we can do to help you, please reach out. Guys, thank you very much and have an awesome week. Thank you, everybody.
See you guys. Thank you.